Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone and real world. Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sharing truth. Yeah, got this article on Yahoo News by way of the LA Times. It says US embraces the C-19 vaccines, improving odds of herd immunity. So, well, okay, I'll read into it a bit because the point's a bit further in. So I'll read it a lot. So more Americans are warming up to C-19 vaccines, with 19% saying they've already received at least one dose, and 49% expressing intent to do so when they get the chance, according to new poll results. You know what? Let's see if. I don't know how many people they asked. Does it say? Let's see. How do we do this? Okay, 10,000 people. Cool. So, according to 69% of US adults surveyed by the Pew Research Center now intend to get the max. That's up from 60% in November and 52% in September. So they've been worn down. Still 15% of respondents said they definitely wouldn't get a max, and another 15% said they would probably pass up the shots. That's like 30% now. That's only a third. Well, around a third. As to the 10,000 people they asked, epidemiologists estimate up to 85% of the country will need to be vaccinated in order to achieve herd immunity against the Rona. At that point, the virus will have difficulty finding new hosts to infect. The outbreak will come to an end. Okay. So let me skip down. So it says Black Americans. Oh. Judah Benjamin Levi in the spotlight now. So Black Americans in particular said they were concerned about the possibility that new variants will hinder the country's ability to beat back the outbreak. Survey found 68% of black adults agreed that the variants will lead to a major setback for efforts to contain the disease. The view was shared by just 51% of American adults overall. And they're just finding random shit to kind of just be like, oh, they're very concerned, but blacks are just very concerned about this. But okay, so it says, indeed, the survey revealed that Black Americans are more likely to feel personally threatened by the pandemic. For instance, 35% said they were very concerned that they would become sick with the C and wind up needing hospital care. 21% of adults overall said they felt that way. In addition, that's because these niggas broke as fuck, and if they go in hospital, you're done. 42% of black adults said they were very concerned that they might spread the virus to someone else without even realizing they were infected. 30% of adults overall had this fear. It says there's a basis for this heightened concern. Black Americans are significantly more likely than Americans as a whole to know someone who has died of C or been sick enough to require hospitalization by a margin of 11%? Which ain't really much. A report last month from the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics found the life expectancy for Black Americans fell by 2.7 years in the first half of 2020 It also fell by 1.9 for Latinos and 0.8 years for whites. This may help explain the sharp increase in the percentage of Black Americans who see C19 vaccines as part of the solution. So life expectancy fell. But what did it fall from? It ain't even working. Let me try again. Yeah, it ain't working for shit. No. But yeah, they mentioned Jake, the so-called Negroes, and then what? Latinos. So, Northern and Southern Kingdom, and then said like, oh yeah, for whites it's nowhere near as much. So, again, spotlighting, highlighting, Jake, 12 tribes. That's who the focus is, man. That's who, this thing's being pushed out for. It's aimed at them, and it's being steered towards them. So it says this may help explain the sharp increase in the percentage of Black Americans who see vaccines as part of the solution. As of February, 15% of Black adults surveyed said they'd received at least one dose. Another 47% said they definitely or probably. That adds up to 63%, way up from 42. Wonder how much of that is probably. I can't be asked to fucking check though, because going through studies is a bit long. I might look it up later. So although support for vaccines is still lower among Black Americans and other racial or ethnic groups, the gap is now much narrower than it used to be. Which is what they're saying, but then this is just based on 10,000 people. What from what it appears to be, Jake is still not uptaking it. It feels like with this, they're just trying to be like, yeah, now everyone's on board. Which, may or may not be true. From what I've seen, it's doesn't seem like Jake's uptaking it, which is why they're doing so much. So much PR. So it says, in May, the proportion of Black adults who said they would get the max was 20 percentage points lower than for white or Latino adults and 37% lower than for Asian Americans. By February, those gaps had narrowed to 8 percentage points compared to white adults and 9 percentage points compared with Latinos and 30 percentage points compared with Asian Americans. Although Americans' views on vaccines may be convergent along racial and ethnic lines, they're moving farther apart politically. In February, 83% of Democrats. I don't care about no fucking political party shit. But yeah, it's, Jake and, Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, man. So-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, man. They're, who's been mentioned in the study. They're who's saying is that less, it's not uptake, less willing to take, this thing, and so this is the thing. This is they mentioned as well. They said, if you're black, then you're X amount more likely to have known someone who died, X amount more likely to know someone who needs treatment. So it's basically like just being it's saying like, hey, look, it's in your best interest to get this thing. And why? Okay, why is it being pushed? Psalms 83:2, it says, "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Yeah. So this is, the intent. This is the goal behind what, Esau's utilizing his system, his kingdom, to bring about. Because what? These guys, they consulted together against Israel, man. And they said, what? Let us cut them off from being a nation. They're looking basically to bring an end. Bring Israel to an end. That's what Esau's looking to do. But what? It says that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Yeah. So these guys all consulted together, and they're confederate against Jake. This is why it's being pushed, because it's the same thing in the UK, the US. They're just saying, oh, black communities have the more skepticism, and they're saying, look, we need to wear that down. And I'm gonna make that. So yeah, that's who. This is why you're seeing these things targeted at Jake, target the so-called Negroes, target the so-called Latinos. Target the tribes. That's yeah, and that's why this thing is gonna get pushed out hard, and as well for the mark. So this is what verse 6: the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon, Amalek and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Yeah, so Esau topping that list, but other heathen as well, other nations as well. It's talking with a girl at work today, and she was telling me, like, when she was on a flight and then she stopped over in China, they were treating her like hella iffy. But I was like, man, but yeah, she ain't even Jake. She ain't even like so-called black. But then I was saying, like, yeah, it's peak, because they're just generally racist. But then when it comes to Jake, everyone's it's extra special, man. Judah, Benjamin, Levi get harder than the most. So that's why I was like, man, it's all these nations. They don't desire Jake to be around. Don't really want them there. So, and that's how it's been. That's been the normal amongst the nations, man. That's why, because these guys are the enemies, man. Esau's top of that list, and it's Esau that's ruling right now. Esau setting pace that everyone else is following. These guys are seeing Jake being promoted, doing all kinds of madness. Like movies, you still have Jake being criminals. Either Jake being real simple, being entertainers, being all there is the positive image of the Israelite man isn't being pushed out there, man. You have very few, and mostly it will be a Jake that will kind of do a film and then push it out. But then you got Jake films where they're pushing out simple ass shit, like, oh, Eddie Murphy crawled out of the grave to make fucking Coming to America 2, which was just that's that same just black Greek nonsense. It's like the original one, it was kind of trying to make him appear more royal, but in this one it was even though it was whack, it was just going for wanted that rebellious woman, but Jake's bugged. But the new one was just a complete mess, man. It was just showcasing all the toxic shit Jake gets up to now, man. But yeah, that's Yeah. Zephaniah 1 says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Yeah. So Jake's that nation not desired, man. Not desired by these heathen. Because why? We're that principal enemy. And that's really how it's been. Since Jake came out of Egypt, everyone was trying to devour them. So, boy, that's been the pace, and it's been maintained, man. Only worsened over time. So, yeah. Expect it. And you know, that's why you should expect Esau to come with intensity to push his agenda onto Jake, man. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.